Hello again, and welcome to Regaining the Balance. This is your host, Matt. Today we're going to be again reading from the Emerald Tablets. This one will be 10, The Key of Time. So, again, welcome. And we're going to be reading this very mysterious book. Continuing on our journey. So let's do a screen share. There you go. All right. Emerald Tablet 10, The Key of Time. Just make sure that Yep. Okay, I didn't do that one yet. List ye, O man, take of my wisdom, learn of the deep hidden mysteries of space. Learn of the thought that grew in the abyss, bringing order and harmony in space. Kind of sounds like the beginning of Genesis, doesn't it? Know ye, O man, that all that exists has being only because of the law. Know ye the law, and ye shall be free, never be bound by the fetters of night. Far through strange spaces have I journeyed into the depth of the abyss of time, learning strange and yet stranger mysteries until in the end all was revealed. Know ye that mystery is only mystery when it is acknowledged on Know ye that mystery is only mystery when it is knowledge unknown to man. When you have plumbed the heart of all mystery, knowledge and wisdom will surely be thine. Seek ye and learn that time is the secret whereby ye may be free of this space. Long have I, Thoth, sought wisdom, I, and shall seek to eternity's end, for no I that ever before receding shall move the goal I seek to attain. Even the lords of cycles know that not yet have they reached the goal, for with all their wisdom they know that truth ever grows. Once, in a past time, I spoke to the dweller, asked of the mystery of time and space, asked him the question that surged in my being, saying, quote, O master, what is time? Unquote. Then he spoke to me, he, the master, quote, Know ye, O Thoth, that in the beginning there was void and nothingness, a timeless, spaceless nothingness, and into nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading, and it filled the void. There existed no matter, only force, a movement, a vortex of vibration of the purposeful thought that filled the void, unquote. And I questioned the master, saying, quote, Was this thought eternal, unquote? And answered me, the dweller, saying, quote, In the beginning there was eternal thought, and for thought to be eternal, time must exist. So into the all-pervading thought grew the law of time, time which exists through all space, floating in a smooth, rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. Time changes not, but all things change in time, for time is the force that holds events separate, each in its proper place. Time is not in motion, but ye move through time as your consciousness moves from one event to another. By time ye exist, all in all, an eternal one existence. Know ye that even though in time ye are separate, yet still are one, in all times existent. Unquote. Ceased then the voice of the dweller, and departed I to ponder on time. For knew I that in these words lay wisdom, and a way to explore the mysteries of time. Oft did I ponder the words of the dweller, then sought I to solve the mystery of time. Found I that time moves through strange angles, yet only by curves could I hope to attain the key that would give me access to time-space. Found I that only moving upwards, and yet again by moving to rightward, could I be free from the time of this movement. Forth I came from out of my body, and moved in the movements that changed me in time. Strange were the signals I saw in my journeys, many are the mysteries that opened to view. I saw I man's beginning, learned from the past that nothing is new, i.e., at the very beginning of this book, it says, Nothing is new under the sun. Seek ye, O man, to learn that the pathway that leads through the spaces that are formed forth in time. Forget not, O man, with all of thy seeking, that light is the goal ye shall seek to attain. Search ye ever for light on the pathway, and ever for thee the goal shall endure. Let not thine heart turn ever let not thine heart turn ever to darkness. Let thine soul be a sun on the way. Know ye that in the eternal brightness ye shall ever find thy soul hid in the light, never fettered by bondage to darkness, ever it shines forth a sun of the light. I know, though hidden in darkness, your soul, a spark of the true flame, exists. Be ye one with the greatness of all lights. Find at the source the end of thy goal. Light is life, for without the great light nothing can ever exist. Know ye that in all formed matter the heart of light always exists. I, even though bound in the darkness, inherent light always exists. Once I stood in the halls of Amenti and heard the voice of the lords of Amenti saying in tones that rang through the silence words of power, mighty and potent. Chanted they the songs of the cycles, the words that open the path to beyond. I saw the great path opened and looked for an instant into the beyond. Saw I the movements of the cycles, fast as the thought of the source could convey. Knew I then that even infinity is moving on to some unthinkable end. Saw I that the cosmos is order and part of a movement that extends to all space, a part of an order of orders, constantly moving in a harmony of space. Saw I the wheeling of cycles like vast circles across the sky. Knew I then that all that has been is growing to meet yet another being in a far off grouping of space and time. Knew I then that in words are power to open the plains that are hidden from man. I, that even in worlds lies hidden the key that will open above and below. Hark ye now, man, this word I leave with thee, use it, and ye shall find power in its sounds. Say ye the word, quote, Zin Uru, unquote, and the power ye shall find. Yet must ye understand that man is of light, and light is of man. List ye, O man, and hear a mystery stranger than all that lies neath the sun. Know ye, O man, that all space is filled by worlds within worlds. I, one within the other, yet separate by law. Once in my search for deep buried wisdom, I opened the door that bars them from man. Called I from the other planes of being one who was fairer than the daughters of men. I called her from out of the spaces to shine as a light in the world of men. Used I the drum of the serpent, wore I the robe of the purple and gold. Placed on my head I the crown of silver, around me the circle of cinnabar shone. Raised I my arms and cried the invocation that opens the path to the plains beyond, cried to the lords of the signs in their houses, quote, Lords of the two horizons, watchers of the treble gates, stand ye one at the right and one at the left as the star rises to his throne and rules over his sign. I, you dark prince of Arulu, open the gates of the dim, hidden land and release her womb, ye kept imprisoned. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, dark lords and shining ones, and by their secret names which I know and can pronounce, hear ye and obey my will. Unquote. Lit I then with flame my circle and called her in the space plains beyond. Quote, Daughter of light, returned from Rulu. 7 times and 7 times have I passed through the fire. Food have I not eaten, water have I not drunk. I call thee from Urulu, from the realm of Exershelgal. I assume thee, Lady of Light. Unquote. Then before me rose the dark figures, the figures of the lords of Arulu. Parted they before me, and forth came the Lady of Light. Free was she now from the lords of night, free to live in the light of the earth sun, free to live as a child of light. Hear ye and listen, O my children. Magic is knowledge, and only is law. Be not afraid of the power within thee, for it follows law as the stars in the sky. Know ye that to he without knowledge wisdom is magic, and not the law. But know ye that ever ye by your knowledge can approach closer to a place in the sun. List ye, my children, follow my teaching, be ye ever seeker of light. Shine in the world of men all around thee, a light on the path that shall shine among men. Follow ye and learn of my magic. Know that all force is thine if thou wilt. Fear not the path that leads thee to knowledge, but rather shun ye the dark road. Light is thine, O man, for the taking. Cast off the fetters, and thou shalt be free. Know ye that thy soul is living in bondage, fettered by fear that holds ye in thrall. Open thy eyes and see the great sunlight, be in its sunlight. Be not afraid, for all is thine own. Fear is the lord of dark Orulu. To he who has never faced the dark fear, I know that fear has existence created by those who are bound by their fears. Shake off thy bondage, O children, and walk in the light of the glorious day. Never turn thy thoughts to darkness, and surely ye shall be one with the light. Man is only what he believeth, a brother of darkness or a child of light. Come thou into the light, my children, walk in the pathway that leads to the sun. Hark ye now, and list to the wisdom. Use thou the word I have given unto thee. Use it surely thou shalt find power and wisdom and light to walk in the way. Seek thee and find the key I have given, and ever shalt thou be a child of the light. And here we have the Sri Yantra, and another version of more or less uh, the flower of life, but in terms of angles instead of circles. And as you can see, you have one after the other, above and below pyramids, and over here you have the Quaternity, which is over and over and over again used throughout things within all different aspects of religion, no matter where you go. So, interesting. Again, in this poetic form, they're essentially explaining to you that time does not really exist. Not in the way that you think it does. And funny thing is that I once had an interesting conversation with the guy who worked in the same building as me, and he was a mathematician by trade, but he, by education, a very smart dude. Worked a different kind of job where math wasn't a thing, but we got into some interesting conversations, and he's a very skeptical individual, and I appreciate that. I really appreciated that about him. But one of the things he told me is that as a mathematician, he was kind of blown away when he looked at the fact that mathematically, it's shown that time doesn't exist. And for somebody who has no inkling at all when it comes to this kind of thing, I find that to be fascinating that he would say something like that. Because here he is kind of butting up against some of the stuff I'm talking to him about quantum physics and stuff, which apparently he wasn't that much into at the time. But one of the things he offered me was the fact that he did know that indeed time is mathematically shown to not exist. So, and this is long after this book was published. And so it's very interesting to read these kind of things and then to see later on that, oh, yeah, how about that? It really doesn't exist the way you think it does. And that doesn't include any of the other esoteric stuff that sort of talks about the same kind of ideas. So, keep that in mind. But also, keep also in mind this is that any time that you do spend thinking in these positive ways and letting go of those attachments, of these thoughts that keep you kind of locked into a depressive type of mindset. Remember, like you're growing your garden. Your thought is a garden. Your mind is a garden, and what you grow in it is what's you're gonna get out of it. Like you reap what you sow. That's exactly why that. I guarantee you, that's exactly why um, that expression really means spiritually. And we don't have to be depressed. These things in life that make us depressed, these problems, these troubles, they don't have to be things that you hate. They instead can actually be things that you love because they are essentially um, the various lessons and the various stages of your life that you basically chose to go through. I'll get into that when we get into reincarnation stuff, but one of the things is that the major issues in your life, you'll notice, like if you don't learn how to let go and change your attitude and viewpoint on certain aspects of your life, those types of things will continuously come back at you. So whether you're greedy or you're very reactionary because of your, of what who you think you are and what you think you need to defend, and all these things that drive people completely, you know, crazy. These are all things that you people need to think about. It's amazing to me that in the United States, I heard this statistic and I don't know if it's 100% true, but I know it's way up there. But supposedly, half of the women in the United States are on some kind of psychological drug of some sort, antidepressant. And, believe what you will, because again, people who take these things do believe they work, and I will have to say that part of the reason why they actually work for you is because you believe in them. So, and we'll get into that as well into the future, because there's been some interesting scientific work that shows just how that really plays itself out. But I would like to say one thing about that is that if you do suffer from depression, or if you have a really reactionary nature to the point where, say, for instance, you see somebody wearing a Donald Trump hat, a Make America Great Again hat, and you completely have a meltdown over a hat, I would put the suggestion that the problem isn't with the person wearing a hat, because the hat is only a hat and words are only words. It is you who take that and conceptualize this in angles. If you catch my meaning here, you're not getting the whole round circular picture. You're getting the angles which paint a different type of idea for you, and therefore you get attached, or people, I should say, become attached to these ideas. Whether you come from the left, you come from the right, it doesn't matter. You see both people from all angles treating their version of what they think as, sacrosanct, and it's just not the reality of the way the mind, the heart, the spirit works. And that is exactly how they also control all of us. Okay, this is the real key to all of this. And the people who, and the thing is that, these documents, or this book, whether you believe it or not, is making a very valid point when it does say that there are always people, there are evil brothers versus the, righteous or white brothers, dark brothers, white brothers, whatever. You also have a white lodge and the white brotherhood, that is fairly ancient, and it all very much related to all of these things here, which we will explore in the future, in the origins of Jesus Christ and how he probably wasn't Jewish at all, believe it or not. And that'll be a whole series I'll be bringing to you guys. And but it's one of those things where, like, we have the power to be happy. You have the ability to understand things. And one of the things I will say is that, as much as I will disparage this concentration on the physical so much, because people are so locked into their ideas of this physical life they live into, they don't bother even paying attention to the spiritual side of themselves at all. I mean, partly we're told to, especially in our current materialistic society, we're basically taught to laugh and scoff at these ideas, and we hold people like Christopher Hitchens up to this great light, as but even then, like, he does a great disservice by just kind of, crapping all over all religions. And yeah, his points were valid in many ways, but the thing is that many of his points went directly to the physical nature of these religions and the extreme ways in which they use the physical side of life to perpetuate some belief systems, and also to create a system where people are essentially locked in to these ideas that make them then depressed, that make them also feel terrible about so many things. And as much as this is called the key of time, like this book, like, it doesn't, you have to decide what kind of time are you going to spend every single day being in this kind of negative space, whether it's mentally, spiritually, physically. And one of the things that like I said earlier, like I might disparage the physical nature of things, but one thing that all people have to do before they, I think, do reach that spot in their lives when they cross over a certain spiritual threshold is that you do have to do some physical alignment, balancing, so to speak. One of the things that helped me a lot is that one point in my life when I was in my 20s, I weighed 250 pounds. I was eating nothing but junk food and, and drinking lots of soda, having tons of sugar and all these other things, drinking the fluoride and having all this and calcifying my pineal gland, and which is a big deal. Like, and when I realized what I was doing, I decided that I couldn't. I saw a picture of myself, and my neck and my face were all one. And so I realized I needed to change, and that's actually when I ended up going to film school, and I had to walk 10 blocks from my apartment to the film school, and then I started eating right. I started to learn how to basically clean myself up. And I will say that as much as that was natural for me, I recognized that I needed that to happen for my that connectivity between my body and my soul, because it really helped to unblock my quote unquote third eye. It helped to clean up and the my pineal gland, and it helped me to detoxify my brain from a lot of these heavy metals that keep that energy from flowing the way it should be. And that's something that all of us should start questioning, about the things that we put in our bodies that are there to prevent us from connecting with that, and being able to conquer those negative sides of ourselves, which we all have and we all share. Every single one of us. It's the same in every human, no matter what part of the world you live in, no matter what kind of society. We all have the same general problems, and that's where depression and melancholy and all these things come from. And as much as religion has been a help to a lot of people, it also creates a kind of back and forth, nasty judgmentalism that does nothing for your spiritual growth and creates a sort of separation and fear of the other that is unhealthy. And so, therefore, we have depressions in which we have no idea why we're depressed. But I will tell you now that one of the biggest powers that we have in our possession is our ability to understand the spiritual truth that we are all very much connected with each other, and that forgiveness, and I don't mean ego style forgiveness, as in I'm better than you, I'm gonna be better than you, or I'm gonna be higher than you, or I'm gonna take the high ground or the high road, and I'm gonna forgive you for things that you did, that kind of thing. No, that's not what I mean at all. This is a forgiveness of a quantum nature, of a potentiality, so to speak. And it's a forgiveness that's based on the idea that you can forgive anybody anything because you have the same potentiality as them, and you may have already lived through the same exact experiences that those people are now dishing to you. Whether you want to admit to that person or not, in your heart of hearts, in your soul, in that fire that burns under the altar of truth, so to speak, because truth needs no defense. Only lies do. And once you start to figure that out and you start to recognize yourself in all people, including the most evil, vile people, or the people that you consider to be the most evil and vile, you will start to heal yourself in a lot of ways. And this idea of depression and how you don't have this and you don't have that and your life didn't go the way it went or whatever else, these all become illusionary fears, and you come to the conclusion of where they came from. And you're able to surmount those things because you have been able to understand them in the context of the circle, the wider life, the truth. And that's when that's when your life really starts. This is what it really means to be born again, is to realize these things. And then you can spend every day not hating anyone. never getting upset because somebody said something that you don't agree with politically, or the social justice side of things, or whatever. It becomes a strength, like, that people can't tear you down, which is why I will say right now, and I will say this again in future videos, any of you out here listening to this and decide that you want to write some kind of disparaging comments to me of any sort or whatever else, you know what? Do it. I don't care. It won't matter to me. Like, I forgive you. I've been where you are. I've seen life through so many of your eyes, and I continuously do so, and I love it. It teaches me every single day, every single year, and I'm going to be going into more and more of that with anecdotal stories of my own life to express to you guys exactly how this works. And as I tell these stories become an archetypal type of thing, and you'll see that my stories may also be your stories, or maybe your very good friend's stories, or your family stories, or whatever. You see the same things over and over again. And it helps to put all these things in perspective, because in the end, the time we spend learning and growing, or the time we spend being shrouded by the mm, illusion of what we consider to be life, um, and, so to speak, in the matrix, ignorance is bliss, so to speak, um, because the truth is a terrifying thing in a lot of ways. Because while you realize that we are all part of the same thing, you also realize that all the evil in the world also comes from us as well. It comes from you, it comes from me. It may not be directly in this life that we live in now, even though we know we've all done wrong things in our lives. The potentiality of it is always there. And when that hits you spiritually, man, is that a kick in the teeth. And I will say it's not something that's very comfortable to experience, but it's an experience that you will definitely have to go through in order for you to get to that next point. And we're going to talk more about all this stuff in the future, but just know that I love each and every one of you, even if you guys call me any name in the book. I don't care. You know, I, 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 I really have an empathy for all life and all people, no matter how evil you think they might be. Um, these people, you really have no right to judge anyone. You have no clue how these people live their lives, the experience that they've had them to shape them the way they are, and the idea that some people are taught from the very beginning of their lives to be in a certain way, and so when they grow up and be that way, are we really surprised that they turn into what we consider to be evil people? But inherently, are they truly evil, or are they human? And are they just following their cosmology, their ideology of life, the way that they were taught? And I think that's a big question we should all ask about each and every one of the people we consider to be adversaries in our lives. Because then you can find a way to say things to people like that break down barriers that they would never have thought could have been broken down, and they themselves would tell you over and over and over again, like a mantra. Oh, well, I can never do this, I can never be that, I can never achieve X, Y, or Z. And then you say something at the right moment, because your intuition, backed by the fire of your spirit and that love that you have for people, enables you to pick the right words at the right time, and you can set people on the right path just by making a comment. And that is the miracle of life. And there is no distinguishing in the different kinds of miracles. All miracles are the same. And we'll get into that in the future. Thank you so much for listening. Um, if you want to tip us or anything like that, all the donation stuff is in the description box. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell button, and if you like what I'm throwing down, then share it and see if anyone else likes it, because I think a lot of this information as we roll along is going to be really helpful to so many people. And then my only goal for this is to bring joy and life and clarity to people, so that they can finally face what they've always been afraid of facing themselves. and live a fuller and more joyous life, which in turn will also blossom all the people in their own lives around them, and then continue to do that more and more and more and more and more. And I keep seeing this play out in my own life. As a matter of fact, yesterday something happened to me that showed me that this is yet again the truth, because it keeps repeating itself. It keeps showing me that this is truly the truth, because as Jesus says, you know, you will know them. I forget the exact quote, but one of the quotes is something, how will we know a man is a man of God? And he says that you will know them by their fruits. And I think that applies to people in every aspect of life. So, much love to all of you. Thank you so very, very, very much for joining me today. And I will be back with some more videos soon. Have a great day.